Hi, Bill Henshaw here again, your local constitutional kook with more on current events. And this one discusses the relationship between George Floyd and Ma'Khia Bryant. And for those of you who don't know by now, Ma'Khia was a 15-year-old black girl that got shot and killed by an Ohio law enforcement thug at almost the exact moment they were announcing the verdict with Derek Chauvin. And I've talked about that in another video, and we'll revisit that issue. But the point is here that this is another execution that did not need to take place. I mean, one thing, if she actually happened to have been holding a gun on her friend, which is not the case, it was only a knife, and while that can be a lethal weapon, it's not generally, number one. Number two, if you're properly trained, what you do under the circumstances, as I saw in the video, and with the 45, which is what these law enforcement thugs carry, you shoot her below the waist. Ideally, in my view, below the knee, but below the waist. If you get hit with a 45, that's going to stop you in your tracks, probably take you down and put you on the ground, and then thus take care of the immediate danger situation while keeping everybody alive. That should be the goal. I don't know why police training manuals aren't set up that way, or if they are, why these law enforcement thugs aren't obeying them. This seems comparatively simple under these circumstances. My goodness, and the Ohio cop is probably going to get away with it. They're going to say, well, he acted, in an attempt to save the life of another member of the community, and this, that, and the other. And while there is a grain of truth in that, I think it misses the mark. And especially so since those of you that have followed my videos know that, in my view, and I've been at it for 5 decades now, intense, passionate, and independent study of the Constitution, history, and laws of the United States, 15 years all in. I can't even apply for a job since I don't have any right to employment, quote unquote, since I voluntarily rescinded my social insecurity number 25 years ago when I discovered the fraud. But that's a story for another day. But here we are. And we have to take some action here and get these cops not only trained, but have records, as many records as you need to keep. Several training sessions, you tell them exactly what to do under certain circumstances. Only in a great once in a while are you going to get circumstances that it's not clear what to deal with, and we are going to have to deal with those. Ma'Khia Bryant was not one of them. And now you get people killed, and it has been disproportionately black. I get that, I understand it. But proper perspective there is that the reason that that's going on is this is more in the way of New York bankster doings with divide and conquer. Black and white primarily, but and now of course we have a huge anti-Asian, hate movement in progress as well. And again, both of those things have to be based on the civil rights, the Civil Rights Act's of non-existent 14th War Amendment, and the invocation of federal regional martial law rule. That doesn't work. It's never going to work. It was never planned to work. Okay, the freedmen back in the day in the 1860s got nothing from that amendment. All it did in terms of making everybody equal, which it did, was not to elevate the freedmen to the situation of lawful de jure jus sanguinis state citizens. It went the opposite way, the way it's been interpreted and the way that the New York banksters wanted it. And what it did was it destroyed all the states north and south of the Mason-Dixon line and made us all United States citizens, what I call birthright citizens, pursuant to Section 1 of the non-existent 14th War Amendment. That's the problem, and it's what we have to fix, and that's why I've gone all in, and thankfully I have the talent and ability to do it, and would have done it 50 years ago if I'd have been taught this stuff in school at the time. Life would have been different, and who knows how much difference I could have made in that time frame. That said, we just have to stop what we're doing here and get hold of ourselves and My goodness. And so we don't have any more Ma'Khia Bryants, Breonna Taylors, Oscar Grants. I mean, it has to stop. And especially when, and this is a big argument here that I would use, um, is that law enforcement, if they're out there on the street and they're trying to enforce laws they knew or should have known were unconstitutional, they're not acting in any official capacity. They are therefore fully liable for anything they do and any acts of violence they commit. Okay, no affirmative defenses, no judicial immunity, quote unquote, which they might not have in that capacity, but nevertheless, the damn civil rights things, for those of you that don't know, 95% of the civil rights cases hit the circular file on the first motion to dismiss by the government. See you later. Specious, frivolous, without merit. And some of you should consider yourself lucky not to be billed for filing a frivolous lawsuit. I mean, that's how much BS is involved with this civil rights crap and federal regional martial law rule, which we've been under now for 160 years. By the way, send me an email, youwinincourt@gmail.com, for information on my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets. And among other things, you get a document called Report on the Civil and Common Law. And it's in volume 1 of the California Reports, a discussion of civil and common law. Which one do we want to adopt? California, like every other state except Louisiana, came in as a common law state. Yet today, there's nothing remotely resembling common law courts or common law jurisprudence anywhere in sight. How did this happen? And by the way, that's not saying that common law was perfect either, but it's a hell of a lot better than the Roman civil law and the functional equivalent of federal regional martial law rule, where they make all the rules. They think they have all the power. And all of us out there, see you later. Nothing but slaves. No matter who you are, Asian, American, African, white, black, we're all slaves. They think they own all of us. Once that changes and we get back to the government that we should have, which won't be perfect, I'll be the first to admit that, that's when we can make changes consistent with the Constitution, not in contravention of it, and make great progress and improve the product that the framers of the Constitution gave us. Unless or until we reach that point. And that's the whole focus of my work, is to get the 904s to be open about it and tell the American people, do we have a Constitution or don't we? If we do, then do your damn job and enforce it, like you said in Marbury versus Madison. If we don't, and we don't have any peaceful remedies, now we'll know what it is that we have to do. And one would certainly hope it doesn't come to that, because we won the revolution in 1776, for crying out loud. We don't need to do it again, do we? We just need to get back to where we were and go from there and make it better. So that said, I'll have more to say on these issues, both of them, especially after the sentencing, quote unquote, of George Chauvin, and we'll see. George Chauvin, that's not his name, but anyway, I'll have more to say about that when it happens. It's a couple of months off. And as I said in my first video on this subject, don't be surprised if this quote unquote conviction gets reversed on appeal. And there's a variety of reasons that could happen. Ineffective assistance to counsel being the obvious one from the point of view of those that support the system. But there's a lot went on there that left a lot to be desired. So we will see how that comes out, and whether, if it gets reversed, will there be a retrial? Will it be in Minneapolis? And I wouldn't think it would be. Would it even be in the quote unquote state of Minnesota? Another very interesting question. Or would a retrial be removed to federal court? And if that happens, I'll have a lot more to say on an upcoming video about this situation, which I was involved in South Carolina when I got arrested and jailed for 7 months as a political prisoner for just this reason. So we'll see what shakes out here. But whatever questions and all that crap they raise, I have a lot of answers. Nobody has them all, but I have more than my share. To learn more about that, send me an email, youwinincourt@gmail.com, and I'll send you info on my materials and some bonus documents to get you up to speed on what's really going on here. You get the right perspective, and now you see how bad it is, no matter what your status is. So we'll discuss that on another video. For now, subscribe, tell your friends, like the videos, get the word out. If we all work together across the board, Africans, Asians, Americans, we can get these bastards off our backs once and for all. Thank you.